This is an intermediate English listening practice. It comes from Book 3 of the Intermediate English Comprehension series, which has over 3,000 positive reviews on Amazon. Listen carefully and use the subtitles to improve your vocabulary and comprehension. The Vikings were a group of tribes who came from Scandinavia. The word Viking derives from Old Norse, and its meaning is similar to pirate raid. The Viking era lasted from approximately 700 until about 1100 AD. During this time, they became known as barbarians with great physical strength, unlimited courage, and excellent sailing skills. The Vikings were incredible sailors, traveling huge distances in order to explore, trade, and raid. Vikings from Norway sailed across the Atlantic Ocean to Iceland and then to Greenland. In about 1000 AD, some Vikings arrived in North America. Other Vikings traveled into the Mediterranean Sea, and some sailed up rivers into Russia. Unbelievably, some Vikings traveled all the way to Turkey. There were two types of Viking ship, long ships and nars. The long ships were used in warfare and for exploring. They were very fast and agile, which made them useful for sea battles. On the other hand, nars were large ships that were used for traveling longer distances. They could carry cargo, and so they were useful for trading. The Viking sword was a very powerful weapon, which only the strongest warriors could use with real skill. There was also a round shield, which was made of very thick wood but which still allowed a certain amount of movement for fighting. All Viking weaponry required a lot of strength to be used efficiently. In Viking society, arranged marriages were common, although not obligatory. Women looked after the home and did domestic tasks, such as cooking, cleaning, and making clothes. Interestingly, the Vikings had a system similar to what we know today as divorce. When Vikings divorced, the woman had the right to keep a large part of the possessions she had shared with her husband. Because the Vikings had no fridges or freezers, they had special ways to preserve their food, such as smoking meat or rubbing it with salt. They dried fruits and seeds and made milk into cheese. Popular drinks included water, buttermilk, or mjød, which was made from yeast, honey, and water. It was very strong with an alcohol content of about 15%. We do not know about Viking religion in depth. However, historians have learned some facts from the Edda, which is a collection of texts written in Iceland in the 13th century. These texts describe how the Vikings were pagans who worshipped several different gods. The most powerful Viking god was Odin. He was the god of war, justice, death, wisdom, and poetry. Another well-known god was Thor. Thor was extremely strong, but not very clever. He used his magic hammer to fight the enemy of the gods, the giants. The Vikings believed in different types of afterlife, depending on how the person had died. Valhalla was the place for brave warriors who had died in battle. Another afterlife was Hell, which was ruled by a blue and black female giant, also called Hel. This afterlife was for people who died of old age or disease. With their distinctive clothes, amazing achievements in travel, and stories of battle, the Vikings seem unlikely to be forgotten. Indeed, their influence is still evident in popular culture today. If you'd like the full text with comprehension questions and vocabulary explanations, Book 3 is available on Amazon. The link is in the video description below.